Welcome to Classroom 2 Courtroom. Here's your host, Scott Benton.
Hey everyone, Scott Benton here. How are you? I am the host of the Classroom to Courtroom podcast, where we help you easily transition from law school student into your professional career as an attorney, a bona fide, fully licensed attorney, and where we make the practice of law fun. And today, we're going to answer the question of what happens when I start my first job. What happens when I start my first job? Are you a law student or recent graduate waiting for admission to the California bar and eager to gain real-world legal experience? Join the Legacy Lawyers' coveted associate programs in sunny Southern California. Our hands-on spring, summer, and fall programs provide opportunities to dive into high-stakes probate litigation. If you aspire to litigate and thrive in an America First culture that values God, family, and country, we want you on our team. Don't wait, space is limited. Call 714-766-0457 to learn more about this exciting opportunity. That's 714-766-0457. Elevate your legal career with the Legacy Lawyers. There's a lot that happens when you start your first job, but mostly where there are going to be just an enormous amount of adjustments and changes that you're going to be going through and that you're going to be making. One of the more difficult adjustments that we're going to be talking about here on this episode is your need to basically throw away everything you've been preparing for your whole life. That sounds pretty drastic. What do you mean throw away everything that you've been preparing for your whole life? Essentially, yes, if you're going to succeed in your job as a first-time attorney, you have to throw away law school, in a matter of speaking. Here's what I mean by that. Up to this point in your life, you've been in school and you've been entrenched in passive activity as a student. You've been firmly occupied with and inside the theory of law, but you haven't practiced as an attorney yet. Now you will. Maybe you've done some work for an attorney during an internship or summer associate program, or maybe you did some law clerk work, but all of that is largely still passive in nature. Now, don't get me wrong, internships and law clerk positions, all of that, those are a necessary step in the right direction. Eventually is going to get you to the point of actively practicing as an attorney. You want to be in that place, that active practicing attorney place. That's what you're trying to reach. But in order to get there, it mostly requires that you throw away everything you learned in law school. However, keep in mind that law school is extremely valuable. We're not arguing that. It forms the foundation of the work in the legal field that you're going to do. And that never goes away. That never leaves you. But it's a stepping stone to the place that you're trying to reach, that you want to reach, that you're going to reach when you start your first job. And that's when everything suddenly changes. So it doesn't help if you hang on to your law school experience. You've got to shed the law school mindset, which is passive. It's only going to hold you down. Instead, you have to almost immediately, like on day one, you have to adopt an active mindset that you've frankly had little or even no experience with up to this point because you've been in school for so long. That's why we're saying your whole life. Consider that in the United States anyway. You go to preschool. What are you, like 5 years old when you go to preschool? Then eventually you graduate to kindergarten, and then there's grade school, then there's high school. So by the time you graduate high school, you've been in a passive mindset. That means student listening to the teacher. You've been in a passive mindset for 12 years minimum. Then from high school, you graduate high school. So you're an attorney now. So that meant you graduated high school. You went to undergraduate for usually 4 years. Sometimes it's longer. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's longer. Sometimes you're there for 5 years, maybe even 6 years if you're doing like a double major or something. So that now gets us to 16. We're saying 4 years. So that gets to 12 plus 4. So we're at 16 years in the passive mindset. Then on top of it, you go for another 3 years in law school. And you probably don't stop. You don't start your job immediately once you graduate law school. There's this whole bar exam that you've got to study for and take, and maybe take it more than once. So that is another year of time that you're spending in terms of passing the bar. So that gets you, that's a total of 20 years stuck in that passive mindset. That's 20 years. So that's your whole life, pretty much. Then all of a sudden, you're going into an environment where the requirements are exactly the opposite, where you must quickly get up to speed in an active mindset that you largely haven't had to use as far as school is concerned, or really almost your entire school experience, and why we're saying you need to throw away everything you've been preparing for your whole life. And the sooner you're able to do that, the faster you learn how to practice law with abandon. It's one of the reasons, just one really, why it generally takes around 5 years for attorneys to get really good at performing their legal work. After 20 years of living in a more passive student mindset, it's a whole new active professional mindset that you have to adopt and you have to incorporate 100% of the time. Sometimes new attorneys start their first job, and sometimes it's just not the right fit or the right focus of law for them, that's understandable. That's going to happen. And those people definitely need to go back out there and find the right focus. And they're going to get in the right position that they belong into. However, for other first-time attorneys, when the job doesn't quite stick, it can often include a difficulty in switching from that more passive student mindset to the active professional mindset. And sometimes that takes a couple of jobs before they successfully make the switch. As you listen to the Classroom to Courtroom podcast episodes as a law student, by the time you get into your first job, not only will you know about switching into the active mindset, and that's important, you need to know that you're going to have to do that. But if you've learned about our success cycle, you're going to have all the necessary framework in which to practice law. And that's a subject, practicing law, that's not taught in law school. Again, with the success cycle, there are 3 parts. So after you've switched into an active mindset and out of the student mindset, and you do that as fast as possible, for each of your cases, you're going to put together a to-do list. Then from the to-do list, you're going to perform the legal services. And then finally, you're going to bill for your legal services once you're done. For your time, you're going to bill for your time, you're going to get paid, you're going to then go back to your to-do list and start all over again. And you're just going to do that out your entire career. So I hope that's a helpful overview on why you've got to throw away everything you've learned in law school when you begin your first job as an attorney. And hopefully this will help you make that critical adjustment as early as possible. I'm Scott Benton. I'm the host of the Classroom to Courtroom podcast. If you're finding this to be valuable information and you'd like to get an alert every time we put out a new episode, you can go to our website. Our website is classroom2courtroom.com. That's classroom, the number 2, courtroom.com. You can leave us your contact information. You'll get an alert whenever we put out a new episode. And if this is valuable information for you, of course, don't forget to share and subscribe. That'll also help you stay on top of all of our newest episodes. And until next time, we hope you'll join us in making the world a better place, one client at a time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on Classroom 2 Courtroom, the podcast designed to help launch your first-time legal career. If you have any feedback or ideas for episodes you'd like to hear, you can always find us at classroom2courtroom.com, where you can leave comments, ask questions, and even join our online community. And always remember, by becoming an excellent and confident practicing attorney, you actually make the world a better place. Now get out there and master the art of practicing law.